Hello, everybody. This is Atlanta News First anchor Alan Devlin. Thanks for joining me here from the Atlanta News First Alert Desk. Talking about a couple of things today, and I'm making sure you guys can hear me really quick. You guys can. We're good to go. I apologize. My web producers are not sitting here with me this time around, so I have to kind of make sure everything's good to go on my end. We're going to be talking about the top stories for today, and there's a lot of news going on today, actually, but we're going to go through a couple of them really quickly with you guys. And then, of course, coming up in about, 9 minutes, meteorologist Patrick Pete's going to be joining me and breaking down what's a busy week in weather. 3 first alerts coming up. So you want to make sure you're prepared for that for sure. We're going to jump right into it this evening with one of our top stories that we've got here at Atlanta News First, happening in Atlanta. It's a story we've been talking about for a while now. Manuel Tehran, a protester who was at the site of that future police training facility in DeKalb County. He was shot and killed back in January. Officers say that he or they opened fire on the officers first. Officers then returned fire, killing them at the site. So there's been a lot of back and forth with this one. Originally, there was a independent autopsy done by the family. This is Manuel Tehran right here on your screen. There was an independent autopsy done by the family that showed he had about 13 bullets in his body, and there was no gunpowder residue on his hands, which is what you really use to determine if someone had a weapon or not. The police say that they shot, but they also say that, Tehran shot them first, but Tehran's family says he would never do that. And they don't have body cameras. Georgia State Patrol does not wear body cameras, so we can't verify anything that's being said from either party. But then what you had is the GBI come out today and release a GBI investigation, a lab testing, which did show gunpowder residue on his hands, which is contrary to what a DeKalb County Medical Examiner's Office found, which was no gunpowder residue. And so while the presence of gunpowder residue does not immediately imply that they fired a weapon, the absence of it does not imply that they didn't, but there's, kind of a back and forth here about whether or not there was gunpowder residue on Tehran's hands. This new report comes out and says he did have that residue, and they are moving forward with this investigation. Meanwhile, a lot of people are now saying that the Georgia State Patrol should be required to wear body cameras at all time, calling it the lowest level of accountability you can ask from a law enforcement officer. That is in the city council right now. They're discussing getting that done for the entire state for all of those troopers. If they were wearing body cameras that day, there would be no discussion about what happened in that incident back on January 18th. But regardless, more information to come out of that one as we move forward. We're going to continue to keep our eyes on that for sure. The next story I want to talk to you guys about is the latest in what has been a tragic, a sad story out of Athens, out of UGA. Two UGA football team members, a player and a staff member, were killed in a deadly crash back in January. Devin Willock was one of the linemen who was in the passenger seat of a car driven by staffer Chandler LaCroix. Police say that LaCroix was intoxicated at the time of the accident and was going about 104 miles an hour when that car crashed, hit a pole, and then crashed into her front yard. Both of them were killed in that car, unfortunately. Today we learned that Devin Willock's father is looking to sue UGA for $2 million, citing negligence on behalf of the team, saying that they were allowing staff members, Chandler LaCroix, to drive, university vehicles intoxicated, which then resulted in the death of Devin Willock. Now, mind you, LaCroix was on the team. She was driving a university-sanctioned vehicle. The discussion now stems on if they were doing university business. Coach Kirby Smart came out and said that you are not supposed to be driving a university vehicle for non-university business. These are pictures of that crash from January. It was a horrific crash. Proposed or at least projected number one overall pick in the upcoming NFL draft, Jalen Carter, was involved in this accident, not necessarily physically, but he was trailing the vehicle when it crashed. He witnessed that crash, and he was charged with reckless driving for that night. But he did plead no contest to that, and that investigation continues to go forward. He was booked in jail, but he was released promptly after. Didn't spend any time in jail, and now he's preparing for the draft. And what you have here right now is video of that crash. You can see how bad that car is, and you've got a little bit of the reaction from the team and the players that night. So the state of Georgia, whenever you are suing a state entity, you have to file a letter 90 days beforehand and give the state 90 days to respond. So what we're looking at right now is that 90-day period. So in the next 90 days, we're going to get a response from the state that will be discussing, what their opinion is, what their ideals are, what this is going to look like for them before this is filed in court. But the expectation right now is that it soon will be filed in court. 3 months' time is that timeline for that right now. Last thing I want to talk to you guys about, tragedy. If you are a fan of music, if you are a fan of movies, if you are a historian in the civil rights here in America, Harry Belafonte passed away yesterday at the age of 96. He's a very, very familiar name to anybody who was listening to music in the 50s and 60s. He had hit after hit after hit, and he was one of the most famous, if not the most famous musician at the time. Even when racial color barriers existed, he broke right through them and sat at the top of the charts in the late 50s, early 60s for several years as the #1 artist in the country, which for a black man at that time was almost unbelievable, unheard of for sure. He passed away in his Upper Manhattan residence, I should say, yesterday at the age of 96 due to congenital heart failure. But we're going to take a quick second and just remember all that he contributed to the movie scene, the music scene, and civil rights right here in America.
Harry Belafonte catapulted up the music charts in the 50s with the Banana Boat song and that signature lyric.
What's so wonderful about the song is that not only do people love to sing it all over the world, but it speaks about my childhood, and it talks about a place in which I grew up in Jamaica.
His breakthrough album, Calypso, became the first LP in the world to sell over 1 million copies within a year. The Jamaican-American pop star had another big hit with Jump in the Line.
She's a hurricane in all kinds of weather. Jump in the line, rock your body on time.
Belafonte was born in New York City in 1927 and served in World War II. In 1993, he spoke to CBS about the biggest influencers on his life.
Paul Robeson, Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, Lead Belly, a great folk singer. Yeah, guy out of prison.
Belafonte was passionate about fighting for social justice and his humanitarian work. He marched in the civil rights movement and was a steadfast voice for the black community.
Harry Belafonte standing next to Dr. King.
He became one of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s confidants.
I had listened to him, completely fascinated with his view of struggle, his fear that he had taken on this task, and he was anointed with a responsibility he thought he was not quite prepared for.
Belafonte received many accolades during his career. In 1960, the multifaceted actor and musician became the first black performer to win an Emmy Award for a television special. He also won a Tony and 3 Grammy Awards, including the Lifetime Achievement Award. Michael George, CBS News.
So, as you can see, a lot of great things out of Harry, and he will truly be missed. 96, though, that is a long, long, very fulfilling life, I am sure. So, those are my 3 top stories that I want to talk to you guys about today. I'm going to now hand it directly over to meteorologist Patrick Pete, who is tracking what will be a busy end of our week, end of our work week. Hope you've enjoyed this really nice weather because, Patrick, it's about to get a lot wetter, right?
Yes, sir. Unfortunately, we are talking about an unsettled weather pattern that's going to take hold for the next couple of days. So we want everybody to be prepared for that. Once again, rain chances are on the increase as we head through the next couple of days. So good evening. It is Tuesday. Hopefully everybody is having a fantastic Taco Tuesday, enjoying maybe some shrimp tacos or some fish tacos, maybe even some steak tacos. Whatever you fancy. Here's a look at the next couple of days as far as our forecast is concerned. You can see that we do have multiple first alerts in the cards for us. Tomorrow's rain is going to be primarily mid to late morning and early afternoon. And then Thursday's rain is looking to be later in the day. So there's going to be some dry time for you to get some of your errands done. And then we're going to have some of that rain linger into early Friday morning. So you can see that the map looks a little bit messier, heavier. You see the deeper, darker colors on Friday. Most of this rain is falling before you're stepping out of the door. So that's why we're not first alerting you yet. If that timeline shifts a few hours, then we may have to throw one on. Meanwhile, some improvements in the weekend forecast. A lot of the moisture has dialed back for not only Saturday, but for Sunday as well. But we still think that we have the chance of seeing a thunderstorm or two Sunday, straight pop up. So we're keeping that first alert there now. Just know that the forecast has been trending drier as we head towards the weekend. So you'll want to stay with us as we continue to fine tune that forecast. Really just a messy forecast at that. Here's how we get through tomorrow. And we are first alerting you to the rain, and this is going to be a low impact event. So scattered showers. Now the bulk of this moisture looks to be in extreme North Georgia, north of the I-20 corridor through around 7 to 8 a.m. Some of that's going to sink a little bit further south and get into the metro as we head into the afternoon hours and then shift further south and east through the day. By 5 o'clock, the bulk of the moisture looks to be gone, and we're keeping that rain chance at about 20%, but I do think that the rest of the day is going to be quite nice and dry. Temperatures are going to struggle to get into the upper 60s, and we're going to see a drop-off with the numbers. So the further north and east you go through the day, the cooler those temperatures are going to be. We're expecting what we've talked about this several times on air, but it's almost kind of like a cool funnel of air that's going to be building in from the northeast through the day. So that's what's going to keep those temperatures down a little bit for all day parts. Now, the good news as far as the temperature concerned, not going to be as cold as you step outside tomorrow morning to make that morning commute. Still going to be mid to low 50s. I do think that's still light jacket weather. And with the clouds and the dreariness around through the day, some folks may want to keep that on as a comfort blanket. But we will get into the mid to upper 60s as we push into the afternoon, eventually dipping back down as we head through the overnight hours. And as far as Thursday is concerned, we're talking about cloudy skies, milder start to the day, and some lighter showers around earlier in the morning, especially north and east of the city. But our better chances for rain will arrive as we head into the afternoon and evening, and some of this is going to be heavy. There's going to be some thunderstorms around as well, so you'll want to be dialed in. We've been watching that risk for severe weather, and right now that looks to be a little bit further to our west, so that doesn't look to be a severe potential, but rumbles of thunder for sure going to be possible embedded in this as we head through the overnight hours and into the start of your Friday. Noticing how you see those deeper, darker colors moving into the area after 8 p.m. and really getting more widespread around midnight and through the early morning hours. So this is why that Friday calculation looked a little bit wetter, and that's because the bulk of this moisture looks to move in after midnight, early Friday morning. So we're first alerting you to that. There may be some lingering showers around early Friday, but for the most part, it just looks cloudy and a little damp with some showers that are just going to be kind of intermittent there. And then once we extend out the forecast through the end of the month, looks like we're going to be in a setup that's going to allow for cooler than average temperatures to really dominate as we head into parts of next week. So here's that 7-day forecast where the weekend's in view, but also the first alerts for Wednesday and Thursday are kind of jumping out at you. Nothing that's too overwhelming and not like a washout all-day rain event, but enough showers around to maybe slow down traffic a little bit. And I don't know, maybe you just got your hair done and you don't want to get it wet. Whatever you fancy, have that umbrella around, especially when you head out tomorrow morning. We expect the rain to really not impact most of Metro Atlanta until around 10 a.m. But if you're running around grabbing some lunch, have it 3, 4 o'clock. Some of those showers are going to be exiting, and you'll want to keep that around. And then Thursday's rain chances really become more widespread the later we go into the day. I think Janet Jackson's in town, maybe. Or maybe you're just going bowling or going to dinner or something. Just be prepared for those showers and late evening storms Thursday into Friday. Saturday looks pretty dry, so if you're looking to make plans to be outside this weekend, Saturday's going to be the day to try to squeeze that in. That's our lowest rain chance, which is down to about 20%, and I'll give you like a little bit of a window in behind us. We had some systems that were going to be moving in. They're a very fluid atmosphere this pattern sets us up for. And we saw in data yesterday that there was going to be a lot of moisture around Saturday and some into Sunday. Right now, there's pretty much nothing around there Saturday, and it's keeping a little bit on Sunday. So we don't really go from 30, 40 to 0. So we're dropping that down to 20, but I guarantee you tomorrow, if the next 12 model runs or so that come in and continue to trend with the drier resolution for Saturday, we'll probably drop that rain chance all the way out of there. Meanwhile, keeping that 40% chance for some showers around on Sunday, which is lower than it was yesterday. So we're trending drier for Sunday as well. And then cooler temperatures arrive early next Monday, and then we're into the 70s again on Tuesday. So I am going to go to Facebook real quick. What's up, Max? Good evening, Wesley, Michael. Hopefully you guys are having a fantastic Tuesday. Hopefully you're having tacos for me because, I'm here. Forgive me. The pollen is annoying me. Hello to all of our YouTube streamers out there, everybody at home on Roku and all of our other digital platforms on ANF Plus. Hopefully you guys are having a fantastic Tuesday as well. You guys know the routine here. This is just a quick little update on what we're seeing right now in the numbers. But there's another newscast that's coming up in 45 minutes, and we have to go through some more data for you so that we can try to fine-tune these rain chances, because there are plenty of them for us to do that. And to get the latest on what we're thinking, meteorologist Fred Campagna is going to have an update coming up in about 45 minutes on Peachtree TV, followed by me at 10 on Peachtree TV. And then Fred's going to have that last look tonight at 11 on Atlanta News First. So you guys, I'm going to leave you with your 7-day forecast so you can make your plans and probably, talk about how much you don't like the weatherman today because he's telling you it's going to rain tomorrow. And I'll catch you later.